We're going to solve a real world problem, and we are going to try to solve it by making sense of the problem and finding ways where it will help you to visualize or see the problem. And then we're going to try to implement numerical representations that will help you explain your ideas or your thinking. And we're going to be using different methods. This is the problem that we're going to solve. Dave can clean pools at a constant rate of 3/5 pools per hour. How many pools can Dave clean in 10 hours? The first method we're going to use is ratio tables. And we already have a ratio table here that will help us understand the information that we have. We have 3/5 of a pool, and then we have per hour. Now, this picture will help you understand 3/5 for the pool that is being cleaned in an hour by Dave. There's different ways you can find the solution, but first keep in mind that we are trying to find how many pools Dave can clean in 10 hours. So let's write the goal that we need here, 10 hours. How are you going to get to 10 hours is going to be up to you. Which method is the one that works better for you? So let's get started. In 1 hour, he does 3/5. How about if he does in 2 hours? Well, how do we get from 1 to 2? You can say, oh, you can double it, right? So you can double it, or you can use the additive method, which means I can try to go 1 plus 1 to 2, or I can do 3/5 plus 3/5, which is the same thing as doubling, to be 6/5. And again, in proper fractions, you got to turn it into mixed numbers. So that is 1 pool and 1/5. So we're going to do 1 pool and 1/5. That's in 2 hours. And then you can say, okay, I can do double the 2, make it 4. And then you're going to double the 1 and 1/5, which will give you 2 and 2/5. And then you can say, oh, I can double the 4 to make it 8. And then you're going to double 2 and 2/5. Now let's do the 2 and the 2/5 one more time so that you know how to double it. You can do the addition or you can do the multiplication, whichever method is much easier for you. So that will give us 4 and 4/5. And then from there you can say, wow, which two numbers can I combine to give me 8? Again, this is not the only method that you can use. You can use other methods, right? You can combine the 8 and combine the 2, and then combine the 4 and 4/5 and 1 and 1/5 to give you the 10. So let's do that. What is 1 and 1/5 plus 4 and 4/5? And the answer will give you equal to 6. Now we're going to be using double number lines to find how many pools can Dave clean in 10 hours. So we're going to be using your double number line. Please make sure that you have labeled the number lines. And we are trying to get to 10 hours. So this is what we're going to do. They already gave us the information of per hour. We know that in an hour, he's able to clean 3/5 of a pool. So we have that information. Now from here, we can do 2 ways. We can build the number line as we go through, or we can divide it into 10 equal parts so that we can see how we can get this. To make it much easier, I am going to go ahead and do the 10 hours counting by 1. So once again, we can do double the 1 hour, and that will give us 2 hours. And we can say, I'm going to do my math on the side here, 3/5 plus 3/5 is the same thing as doubling. Now, if you prefer to do the multiplication instead of the adding the 3/5 and 3/5 twice, you can do that. And whatever method is easier for you. Like this time, I'll use the multiplication. 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. We see that that's an improper fraction. How many 5s go into 6? 1. And remainder 1 out of 5. So we know that for 2 hours, it'll take 1 pool and 1/5. And then from here, I can say, well, I can double 2 to get 4. So this will be 3, but I'm going to do 4. So once again, I'll double 1 and 1/5, 1 and 1/5. In this case, I think it might be much easier for us to do the addition. So that will be 2/5, and that will be 2. So So that would be 2 and 2/5. 2 and 2/5. And then I can say, well, I can double the 4 to get to 8. So that would be 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I double 2 and 2/5, 2 and 2/5 plus 2 and 2/5, then that will give us 4/5. 2 plus 2 is 4. So that for 8, it will be 4 pools and 4 and 4/5. Now for the other ones that we're missing, we might need to start combining. And I'm going to erase this work here so you guys don't get confused. And we have a little bit cleaner place to do this. And which numbers can I use to get me 3? Well, I can do 1 plus 2 is 3. So if I add those two together, that will give me my answer. So let's go ahead and do 3/5 plus 1 and 1/5. And that will give us 4/5. So it will be 1 and 4/5. So that's going to be 1 and 1 and 4/5. 1 and 4/5. Again, if you don't need to do them, you can always just forward the video and that will give you less time, right? So here we go. How can we get to 5? You can do it two ways. You can do the 2 plus the 3 gives you the 5, or 4 plus 1 gives you 5. Which method you choose is totally preference up to you. In this case, to get 5, I am going to use the 4 and the 1. So let's try that. So I'm going to use the 2 and 2/5 plus the 3/5, right? Because that will give us the 4 plus the 1 gives us a 5. And then when we add the 2 plus the 3 is 5. The 2 plus the 3 gives us 5. 5 over 5. And then bring down the 2. So that will give us 3, right? We simplify it, make it to 3. So that is 3. And then you can say, well, to get to 6, I can double the 3, give us 6, right? So if I double 1 and 4/5, if I double 1 and 4/5 plus 1 and 4/5, that will give us 8 over 5, and that'll give us 2. So that was kind of messy, right? That would be, one second, that would be 8/5, and again, you simplify that one, so that will give us 3 wholes and 3/5. Okay, so then that would be 3 and 3/5. Or you could have said, well, why did you do all this work? You could have just said 3 plus 3/5 gives you the 3/5, right? That makes sense too. Now, how do I get 7? I can do the 3 and the 3/5 plus 3/5. Well, that's much easier. Some of you might say you should have done that since the beginning, right? And we can do that. So if I add the 3/5 plus the 3/5, that's going to give us 6/5. 6/5, and then bring down the 3. And notice that you can also make another whole one. So 3 plus 1 is 4, remainder 1/5. So this will give us 4 and 1/5. And it makes sense because if I just do 4 and 1/5 plus 3/5, it gives me the 4/5. Well, can I do the next one by my head? Well, if you can't do it, then you might have to do the math to help you a little bit more here. So we're going to do, to get the 9, 4 and 4/5 plus the 3/5. And that should give us 7/5. Oh, notice we can do a whole one there. So that would be 5 and 2/5. So this would be 5 and 2/5. And we did every single hour if we wanted to answer for the other ones, right? So now if I do the 5 and the 2/5 plus the 3/5, you can give us 5 over 5. You can make a whole one, so that makes it 6. So your answer here will be 6. Now notice that we did all the work. You didn't have to do the whole work. You could have just said, okay, which numbers give me 10? If I got here to 5, I could have just doubled it, right? Gives me 6. I could have just said, what is double 5? Oh, that's 6. You would have been done right there. Or you could have said, well, if I get to 7, 7 plus 3 gives me 10. Right? So I could say the 4 and 1/5 plus the 1 and 1 and 4/5, and that gives me the 6 too. Or you could say, well, there's so many combinations you can make. You could have made 6, right? The 6 hours plus the 4 hours, and that would have given you 60. So many ways you can use, and this is why it's kind of nice to do number lines and tables, because you can use all these thinking styles or thinking, mental thinking that will take you to get your answer, and you can actually see it. And it gives you the opportunity to organize your ideas. So which method is the one that you choose, and which one is the one that is better for you? It's something you need to start thinking. Which one makes more sense to you? Notice that this time I did a tape diagram not at the beginning of the problem, because sometimes one method might be easier than the other one. And I think the tape diagrams here might be a little more challenging in order to solve this problem. So what we are going to do here is we did the tape diagrams, and as you remember, it is extremely important to label them. I put the numbers inside here so that you can see the representation of our rates. The information they gave us that it was 10 hours. Remember last time? We always ask ourselves, how do you get to 10? 1 times what gives us 10? And here you say 1 times 10 gives us 10. So on the top, equivalent ratios, what will you do? You will do the same thing. You will do 3/5 times 10, and that will give you the answer. Now, let's just review quickly here how to find the answer multiplying. Keep in mind, we cannot multiply with whole numbers. You got to make them a fraction. Hopefully you guys remember from 5th grade, how to do this. So 3 times 10. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. And when you simplify the fraction, that equals 6. So right away, your answer is 6. So here the difficult part is not using the tape diagram, but it's more like how to set it up and make sense of it. So notice that it was very quickly to find the answer, but again, it could be a little challenging if you're still a little confused using tape diagrams. And notice that this time I left the pictures towards the end. This is just to reinforce on how to do it, but it can be a little more challenging for some students, but it can be beneficial for some students too. So what we're going to do, I did a rectangle representing a pool. We're going to be coloring 3/5 to represent the hour. He only did 3/5 of a pool every hour. So let's use a color. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. That's 3/5. So that is 1 hour. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add another pool right here, another pool, because we need to get to 10 hours, right? And I'm going to be changing colors so that you can see the hours. So it's much easier for you to see it. So he would do another hour, and this time is going to be represented by the blue. So right there, that would be another hour. That is 3/5 of a pool. And I'm going to change it to another color so that we can do 3/5. 1, 2, 3. So that is 3 hours so far. So I hope you guys are following with that. I'm going to use another pool here, and I'm going to put it next to it here so we can see it. Okay, and I'm going to change a different color so that we can continue seeing the hour that he did every hour he did 3/5. So that's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. So that's another hour. So let's go back and just double check. Here we see that this represents 1 hour. Here we see that represents another hour. And here we see there's another, so that's 3 hours, right? And then this two red represents another hour. So how many hours do we have so far? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to get to 10. So we can continue doing this until we get to 10 hours. And this time I'll pick another color so that we can continue seeing the 3/5 every hour. So that will be 1/5, 2/5, and 3/5, and that's another hour. So I'm going to do the same thing until I get to 10 hours. So here I can count my 10 hours. That's every color represents 3/5 of the pool that was cleaned by Dave. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. So that means how many pools is that? Well, this is one pool. We can probably write on top of it, this is one pool. This is 2 pools. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. And that is 6 pools. So there we go. We have confirmed that he can clean 6 pools in 10 hours. Now, the pictures maybe might be a little more challenging to help, but it is possible. Please pick the choice that works better for you.